Hey guys, good morning. So today I'm going to take you with me for a day in our homeschooling life. I am just going to turn the camera on and let it roll while we do our school for today. And then later I'll edit it and do some voiceovers so that you can kind of see what we're doing, but just to kind of see what a day looks like in our homeschool. So it is 9:30. We usually get started around 9 or 9:30, so we're running a little bit later today than normal, but we're going to get started here in just a minute once I get him to sleep for his nap. So pretty much it's going to be a standard homeschool day. Because I'll be filming with my phone, some of the things that I typically do on my phone we'll have to use the computer for. We don't usually use it for that, but like our CC songs, that kind of stuff. So be a little bit different, but you'll be able to get the gist of it and kind of see what a day looks like when we are doing school. All right.
So we start off our day with Bible, and I read a short devotional from our devotional book, which is the Indescribable or How Great is Our God series. So I read one of those real quickly, and then after we finish that, we start our Bible study. There's usually a part for the parent to read, and then there are passages to read from the Bible, and so my 7-year-old, he reads that part. You can't see him off the screen or off camera, but he is sitting out of the shot, and he gets his Bible out and looks up the verses. So while he's looking up our verses, that usually takes him a couple minutes, I just grab my planner, and that's when I sit down and kind of record our attendance for the day and just kind of write down some of the things that we're doing. I do a loose plan for the week and the quarter and the year, which I've shared in other videos, but I don't write that down in my planner until we actually do it. So my planner is more like a record book than actually planning out what we're going to do. So typically while he's reading from the Bible, I read along on my phone with the Bible app, but I was using it to record this video, so I didn't. So after we do Bible, we do our classical conversations memory work. Again, I usually use my phone for that, but since I was using it to record today, I grabbed my laptop and we just listened to the videos on there. So we listen to those and we sing along. We usually run through the memory work once or twice each. And so while you're kind of watching us do that, here are the details on my kids. I have a 7-year-old who is basically second grade and a 5-year-old who is kindergarten. I just turned 3-year-old who, we're not doing anything formal, but she likes to participate in everything. And then, of course, the baby that you see me wearing there, he is almost 6 months old. Once we finished our together work, which is our Bible and our CC memory work, then we move into math and to language arts. So right now I'm doing math with my 5-year-old. He's in RightStart Math level A. And so we're doing a real short little lesson together where we just kind of go over the new material. And then he, on this particular day, had a worksheet that I gave him to work on, and he was able to do it independently. So you'll see him sit down on the floor here in just a second and work on that. And so we alternate turns. So we alternate weeks and they take turns. So my 5-year-old will do math, and then my 7-year-old will do math, and then my 5-year-old will do language arts, and then my 7-year-old will do language arts. And then the next week we flip. So the 7-year-old will go first. And that way that kind of keeps it fair, and they don't argue about who is, whose turn it is. We just write that in the calendar so that we can keep up with that. In a second here, you're going to see my 3-year-old come over there. She wants to do school too. And so we'll do just some really simple numbers, letters, that kind of stuff, just whenever we get a break and she shows some interest. And so that's kind of what I'm doing there with her. So, my biggest concern for this school year, and if you watched my other videos, you've seen it or heard me talk about it, is that I was not sure how it was going to go balancing homeschooling 2 kids, because up to this year, I'd only just done 1, and so it's pretty easy to do one-on-one. And so that was kind of a concern, plus having a new baby. I wasn't sure how that was going to go, and so that's part of why I wanted to do this video. Is I've seen a lot of other parents who use Logic of English and or RightStart Math, and they're like, how do you do this with multiple kids? Because it's just very hands-on and parent intensive. And so just kind of wanted to show how we handle it. So right now my 7-year-old is over there. We're working on his math lesson together. His takes quite a bit longer than the 5-year-old's did this particular day. So anyway, back to talking about how we handle doing, the multiple kids. Like I said, we just take turns, and one child, I'll do a lesson with him, and then he works independently while I work with the other child, and we flip-flop back and forth. But what has been really, really important is having something for them to work on when it's not their turn to work with me one-on-one. So sometimes they have worksheets from their actual curriculum, but not super often, because both of these curriculums are very hands-on, game-based, not a whole lot of worksheets. So what I did was I made this notebook that I've shown a full walkthrough of it in a separate video, but it has worksheets put in there by day. So if it's Monday, they open to the Monday section, and I've already got worksheets in there. They're usually CC related worksheets to kind of tie in our memory work, but sometimes they are, about holidays or word search or, whatever. And it has their calendar that they work on, but that gives them something to do while I'm not working with them one-on-one. Because I've found that if they don't have something to do, they get squirrely and, are bouncing off the walls, trying to get in each other's business, that kind of stuff. And so it really has been important to have them have some independent work to work on. My 3-year-old, she does some little activities. She does puzzles, coloring books. Today, what you see her working on is a little busy book that she has from Amazon. I'll link that below, but it just gives her something to do to keep her somewhat occupied while we're also doing school. And as far as doing, school with a baby. If you've watched some of my other videos, you've seen that my first year we had a schoolroom. We did all of our school in the schoolroom. Last year we kind of did a hybrid, and we would stay on the couch for part of it, and then we'd move into the schoolroom. This year I got this cart, and I have a separate video all about what's on the cart, but we have been doing school 100% in the living room, or almost 100% in the living room, and love it. I just sit in that recliner so that I'm able to rock the baby or nurse him, and all of our main things that we need are on the cart, and the boys just come over to this little table. You can't really see it past the pack and play, but there's a little bitty table, and they come over there and we do work together, and that has worked really, really well. They don't mind standing up for that little portion of time while I do the work. As you can see through the whole video, they just move constantly, so it's really no big deal that they have to stand up for that. But this has been fantastic for us, and I really enjoy it. So I try to time school around the baby's nap time, so I'll try to get him to sleep and then either hold him or wear him. I was wearing him in this particular video while we get started on school, and then he takes a pretty short nap, so he wakes up part of the way through there, and then you'll see he's on the floor and he's being held, and I nurse him when he gets hungry, and we just kind of work around him. So it has not been as big of a deal as I expected it to be. So anyway, we have now moved on to Logic of English and to their language arts, and so I'm helping my 5-year-old do his language arts. He is in Logic of English level A, or Foundations A, and he's almost finished with that. So he's working with that. My 7-year-old, he's in the floor here still working on a math worksheet from his math. He's in RightStart Math level C. So we've just started subtracting large numbers. It's been, it's taken us a lot of time. It's been more complicated. So he spent a lot more time on his worksheet than he typically does. RightStart Math usually doesn't have very many worksheets and actually has a lot of games. And it was funny that the day I picked to film this, we ended up having no games, and they each had a worksheet. So you don't get to see us doing a game. But he is working on that worksheet for a good chunk of this video. As you can see, the kids are just all over the place all the time. I didn't really realize it until I filmed us for a whole day and sped that up, that it looks really chaotic and crazy. And sometimes it is a little chaotic and crazy, but for the most part, it's, I don't know, we're just used to it, I guess. And we just manage everybody going here, there, and everywhere. But I'm glad that they're able to be active. So my husband works from home and is in and out throughout the day. This particular day, he was actually off work and needed to go run some errands. So he's getting back from the errands. And so, of course, the kids act like they haven't seen him in like years, even though it'd been just like a couple of hours. But the baby was hungry, so I'm nursing him and working still with my 7-year-old on his worksheet. So like I said, this was a difficult concept that he really needed a lot of assistance with. So we spent a lot more time on this than we typically would. So he's still working on that. The little kids are done. My 5-year-old is done with his work for the day, and my 3-year-old, she's kind of given up on her activity. You know, they move on quickly, but so they're looking at books over on the couch while I finish working on the math here. And then after that, we are now switching to language arts. So he is in Logic of English level D, or Foundations D. And so we are going to get started on that there. So he is finishing up reading to the kids. This is part of his lesson where he's reading this book aloud to them. And he is a great reader, so I don't have to do a lot of correction. He's able to just read to them while he does his lesson. And then we are going to move to our last part, which is his spelling. And the creator of Logic of English, she has put the spelling, what they call spelling analysis, which is basically learning how to spell, online. There are free online videos of her with each lesson showing how to spell, and that is really helpful. Spelling is not my strong suit, and so that part was always the hardest part before we found these free online videos, and so now we use those. And so he will sit down, and the videos are usually like 10-ish minutes long, and he'll go through the spelling listening to her, and that has worked really well. And of course, it wouldn't be a school day without a toddler tantrum. You can see my 3-year-old, she was writing in a book that was not hers, and when I realized that and told her she had to stop, she started screaming. So that is just kind of normal for us. So anyway, once he finishes his spelling, that is the end of our school day. It usually takes less than 2 hours for us to do the formal one-on-one instruction type portion of our school. We typically will, if we're done before lunchtime, we will then read and read from our current read aloud. If we don't get done until right at lunchtime, we'll do that later in the afternoon. And we do other things throughout the day, but as far as our the formal stuff, that will be done in less than 2 hours. This video was sped up to 6 times faster, and some of it was edited out, but basically we were able to condense our 2-hour school day into about 15 minutes. So anyway, I hope that is helpful, and just a good glimpse into what a typical day looks like for us, especially juggling 2 kids, juggling, multiple kids in different levels of logic of English and RightStart Math, having a new baby at home, all that kind of stuff, all the questions that I had before this school year that I wasn't sure how they were going to work out. But we have found our groove and are really having just a good, fairly smooth year. It's definitely been a lot better than I expected, so I'm thankful.